Hey guys, my name is Imani Fox, owner of Flavor Fox Catering. I'm here today with BIGO Bistro to show you how to make my signature seafood mac and cheese. So let's get into it. We're going to get started with seasoning and preparing our jumbo shrimp and some jumbo lump crab meat. The size of the shrimp can vary for this dish, but we don't want it all to be huge shrimp. So we're going to go ahead and cut up a few of those, and then we are going to season them. Doesn't need too much seasoning either, just because we are going to season the rest of the dish, but we will season that lightly. Okay, so as we're preparing for the holidays, seafood mac and cheese is one of my favorite dishes. My family loves it, my friends love it. For all the functions, they're requesting it, and so I figured this is really just the perfect dish to make. My love for seafood started as a child, and I spent 5 years in New Orleans after I graduated from college, where that love for seafood only continued to grow, and I am constantly trying to find ways to incorporate seafood in dishes. So needless to say, this seafood mac and cheese is one of my favorites, and it's everybody's favorite. So there we go. We've got some of the shrimp cut up, we've got some of the shrimp whole, and we're going to go ahead and give that a season. I have some Old Bay here, some Italian seasoning, and some black pepper. Like I said before, we're gonna season the other components of this dish, so we don't need to do too much on the shrimp. There we have it, nice and pretty. All right, and then we are also going to be using some jumbo lump crab for this dish. So I like to use jumbo lump because obviously we get these nice large pieces of meat, but you do wanna just go through with your fingers and just kind of make sure that there's no shells on there, because no one likes shells in their food. Cooking, just like everything else in my life, came to me pretty randomly. So as I mentioned before, I moved to New Orleans after college, and I was working as a teacher. And during that time, I was spending a lot of money on food, and I was also gaining a lot of weight, because in New Orleans there are several options. Everything is deep fried, everything is fattening, and you can very easily get carried away. So really quick, gonna go ahead and season this crab with some Old Bay, just give it a toss, and then that is ready to go. I started cooking just to save time, save money, and just try to get myself back a little healthier. And in posting, my dishes, my recipes on social media, friends began reaching out to me, asking me to cook for different events for them. And then when COVID came, I decided to finally start my own Instagram page for my dishes. And I had somebody ask me if I could sell plates off the porch during lockdown, and I started doing that. And in turn, we ended up with Flavor Fox, which is now full service catering, meal prep, private chef services here in Los Angeles. Our noodles are boiling, so we're gonna get started on our bechamel sauce. We're gonna be using a total of 5 cheeses today. So here we have some cheddar, some pepper jack, mozzarella, and a smoked Gouda, as well as a Gournay cheese. This is a garlic and herb cheese. It's perfect and just really adds to the creaminess. So all of our cheeses I have shredded myself. I just find that they melt better than pre-shredded cheese. So that is, how I think you're gonna get the best results with this dish. We don't use as much of the smoked Gouda because this is a very flavorful cheese and we don't want it to overpower, so just a little bit less of that, and you're good to go. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started on our sauce with 6 tablespoons of butter on medium heat to start our roux. We're gonna mix that with about 2 tablespoons of flour. Now we don't want our roux to be too dark, we don't want it to burn, so we're going for a light blonde roux here. So it only takes about 2 to 3 minutes maximum on that medium-high heat. And then we have our noodles cooking over here, and some chicken stock and water, and then salted as well. I definitely didn't start a catering company with the intentions of starting a business. I think it was one of those things that, like many other things, everybody was getting into different things during the pandemic, and that was exactly what happened with me. When I saw just the reaction that people were getting from buying plates from me, and the first event I did was for a close friend who asked me to cater their 40th birthday party. And when I got the request, I was like, what? I don't even know what I need to do that. And so I did a little bit of research, ordered everything I needed, and kind of just cooked and set up. My little sister helped me, and Everybody loved everything. The reviews were fantastic, and I started to think, like, obviously with the lockdown and the shutdown, I have nothing but free time, and so with that, I began to put my time and energy into just kind of marketing and different things to let people know that, like, this is a service that I'm offering now. And being in New Orleans, it really took off very quickly. So I was grateful for that opportunity, of course. All right, our butter is melting nicely. We're gonna go ahead and add in 2 tablespoons of flour. And then you always want to make sure you season your roux. So for me, I really like Cajun flavors, and so that is what we're going for in this dish. So the seasonings that I'm going to be using today, we have black pepper, Old Bay for our seafood, Italian seasoning, Lowry's, crushed red pepper, chili powder, smoked paprika, and onion and garlic powder. Honestly, all my dishes, I'm an onion and garlic powder girly. It just, you know, it brings a lot of flavor, so don't knock it till you try it. All right, our roux is getting some color, so we're gonna do about 1 more minute on that. And then we're gonna go ahead and add our heavy whipping cream and milk. So for this dish, I use 2 cups of heavy whipping cream, 2 cups of milk to make my bechamel sauce. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that ready. Would you look at that, 2 cups left. All right, our roux is bubbling. That means it's nice and ready, so I'm gonna go ahead and add in that heavy whipping cream first. Next, we have our milk. So we're gonna let that cook for about 4 minutes. It's gonna bubble up nicely, and then we'll know we're ready to go ahead and add in our cheeses. So we can give this another little whisk. And in the meantime, we'll check on our noodles. We want those cooked al dente, so about 10 minutes, and then they're gonna be ready to go. So al dente is not cooked all the way, but like just right before, because it is going to continue baking in the oven, and so we want to have the perfect texture and consistency on those noodles when they're done. So we're gonna keep cooking that for about 4 more minutes while our sauce gets ready. All right, so right now we're just gonna go ahead and strain our noodles. They have cooked up that chicken stock juice nicely. So one of the reasons why I like to use chicken stock for my mac and cheese is it just adds another level of depth to flavor. I got all my aunties asking me, what's the secrets? So I'm giving them all to you guys now. Hopefully your family and friends will enjoy this dish as much as mine do. So we've got our noodles ready, and we are going to continue working on that sauce. We got about another minute or so before I add those cheeses. So in college, I worked at a restaurant all 4 years. So if you're in DC or familiar with DC, I worked at Shaw's Tavern as a server, a waitress, a hostess. I was all the things. Wore many hats, but I was always really intrigued by what was going on in the kitchen. I built, strong relationships with a lot of the staff in the kitchen, so I always make sure now still to go back there when I'm in town. But yeah, they definitely inspired me, and I think growing up, my dad's family were the big cooks, more than my mom. Sorry, Mom. We ate out a lot, like almost every day. My mom worked in the city. I grew up in New Jersey. My mom worked in the city, and my dad worked late. So my parents would get home and we would go out to dinner every night. So I've always been a foodie, but I didn't really grow up seeing that much of like authentic recipes at home. So I always looked forward to holidays and being able to see my aunt and help her in the kitchen with things. And like I said, now she's the one asking me for recipes. So it is very full circle and refreshing. So there we go. Our sauce is ready for our cheese. So we're gonna go ahead and add in first our cheddar. We want our cheddar to be the base, mostly for color purposes. Added a little bit of, just like that nice yellow color that we love in mac and cheese. So about 2 spoonfuls or 2 cups of cheddar, and then we're gonna go in with our pepper jack. And we're gonna make sure we're saving some of this cheese to top the macaroni as well. So we've got cheddar, pepper jack, some smoked Gouda, and our mozzarella. Seasonings are very important here. You would be surprised how many people ask me if they're supposed to season their cheese sauce, and it would seem to be apparent, but I guess it's not. So don't be shy. You will not regret it. So we're going in with Lowry's, some black pepper. We've got a little Old Bay, again, for that seafood. Italian seasoning. I just love Italian seasoning in a pasta dish, so. Chili powder and red pepper flakes are gonna give it a little bit of a kick. Then we have our onion and garlic powder and paprika. And I like to use smoked paprika, but whatever you have. So you're gonna make sure that you're whisking and stirring the cheese as you're making this sauce so that it's not sticking to the bottom. And we're gonna go ahead and add our Boursin cheese. This is our Gournay cheese. This is a garlic and herb cheese. I'm gonna turn the heat down a little bit. You can use this or you can use a cream cheese, but I like it, like I said, for extra measure, just adds that creaminess to your dish. So let me go ahead and get that. Right before our cheese sauce is done, we're gonna go ahead and go in with the shrimp and the crab. As soon as we drop the shrimp in the sauce, it's going to start to cook, and we don't want it to overcook in the oven. And same thing with the crab. You can save a couple just to go on the top as well. All right, and we're gonna give it about 2 minutes on here before we remove it and put it in the sauce. And as you can see, that shrimp is starting to cook nicely. It's all covered in cheese, but I see the pink coming through. So that's gonna be that color that you're looking for. All right, so once you've got a nice color on that shrimp, we're gonna go ahead and pour our sauce over our noodles. So we're just gonna come right over here. Don't have to be shy with that. And just kind of mix it in. You wanna make sure that that sauce gets all up in there. Very pretty. You know what they say about that mac and cheese sound, okay? It's all there. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and top it off with some of the leftover seafood and cheeses, and then we are ready to bake. And we're gonna be baking this on 350 for about 20 minutes. 20 to 25 minutes is my personal preference, depending on, you know, how cooked you like your mac and cheese. You'll just wanna keep an eye on it if you want to go a little longer than that. I recommend like 30 minutes max. I definitely didn't start a catering company with the intentions of starting a business. I think it was like one of those things that, like many other things, everybody was like getting into different things during the pandemic, and that was exactly what happened with me. When I saw just like the reaction that people were getting from buying plates from me, and the first event I did was for a close friend who asked me to cater their 40th birthday party. And when I got the request, I was like, what? I don't even know like what I need to do that. And so I did a little bit of research, ordered everything I needed, and kind of just cooked and set up. My little sister helped me, and everybody loved everything. The reviews were fantastic, and I started to think like, obviously with the lockdown and the shutdown, I have nothing but free time. And so with that, I began to put my time and energy into just kind of marketing and different things to let people know that like this is a service that I'm offering now. And being in New Orleans, it really took off. So there are several cheeses, and these have become my go-to for mac and cheese through trial and error. Obviously, you don't want to make a mac and cheese without cheddar. I mean, you can, but I prefer not to. It's just traditional. Pepper jack is like my favorite. I think for mac and cheese, it's just unique. Not everyone uses it, and so I like that depth of flavor that we get from the pepper jack. And then smoked Gouda, same thing. And the mozzarella just for the creaminess. My favorite cheese is not mac and cheese related. I really like the blue chèvre cheese. It's like blueberries, it's sweet, and then it's just really good with like some prosciutto and all that. So before I bake it, I like to top it off with some black pepper and paprika. Well, here we go. Our mac and cheese is ready for the oven. So we're gonna go ahead and pop that in there on 350 for about 20 minutes, and then we're gonna check and see how we're looking. All right, So we're gonna go ahead and garnish this with some fresh parsley. And cut that up. Smells amazing. I am so excited to eat. What I love most about cooking, I feel like I'm a nurturer, so I just love feeding people. I love bringing people joy through food, bringing people together through food. I love to host a Sunday dinner or, you know, whatever, any occasion, I'm inviting people over to eat. So yeah, and then I think cooking also is just therapeutic for me. When I really first got into cooking in New Orleans, I was coming out of a classroom with 30 kids all day, and then like the best form of therapy for me at the end of each day was like pouring a nice big glass of wine and making myself a meal. That's my release and refresh and reset. So we're gonna go ahead and garnish this with some fresh parsley. And we can go ahead and cut into it and enjoy it. So here's my favorite part. Ooh, you hear that, right? All right, look at that. So the majority of my catering menu is Cajun soul food inspired. So a lot of those southern flavors, seafood, very seafood heavy, rice, pasta dishes. Most of the dishes that you expect to see in New Orleans, I offer. I find a lot of pleasure in making. When I was in New Orleans, people would always ask me like, so what neighborhood are you from? And I was like, oh, I'm from New Jersey. And people were like, how are you from New Jersey and you know how to cook like this? So again, that was a big compliment to me, you know, as an implant there. And so, you know, just getting that stamp of approval gave me the confidence that I needed to kind of branch out and do it somewhere outside of New Orleans. Let's see, moment of truth. That's good. My name is Imani Fox of Flavor Fox Catering. This is my signature seafood mac and cheese, and I can't wait for you guys to give it a try.